Hey, it's Marcus again and welcome back to the Premium Property Sales Video Series Part 2. Now, in this video, I'll be covering a lot more about the actual strategies used to increase the perception of value of your property. But first, let's do a quick recap on what was covered in the previous video. We've talked about why you need a strong marketing strategy for your property sale and that positioning is a crucial component to the success of your marketing campaign. We've also talked about the key concept that buyers buy based on emotion and that every single touch point between the buyer and your property either adds or takes away the perception of value from your property. In fact, these four concepts form the foundation of the Experience Maximizer process that I will review to you throughout this video series. And these strategies, when applied correctly, will allow your property to truly stand out from the competition, and that creates a massive desire for your property in the minds of your buyers. However, I must stress that each of these steps have to be done in the correct sequence for it to be effective. And if you're thinking of skipping certain steps just because you find them troublesome or difficult to do, you might unknowingly place the entire marketing campaign at risk of falling apart. So, without further ado, let's dive in and talk about step 1, the pre-listing prep. Now, at this stage, you shouldn't even be thinking about listing your property just yet, and in my opinion, this is the most important step that will essentially set the stage right for the subsequent steps to work successfully. Sadly, most sellers and agents tend to skip this entirely just because it is too troublesome or too much effort to do. Well, guess what? This is actually good news for you because now you actually have a real advantage over the vast majority of other haphazardly put together listings. So, how does it work? Well, the pre-listing prep is split into 3 stages. Stage 1 is what I call the audit, followed by stage 2, the cleanup, and lastly stage 3, the packaging. So let's quickly dive into stage 1, the property audit. A property audit is a detailed inspection of every corner of your house, and the goal of this inspection is to, as much as possible, find out the flaws of your property. And the reason for that is simple. You see, buyers, especially the serious buyers who are ready to offer, are very particular when they go house hunting. And every time they walk through a property, they are always looking out for flaws or defects. Flaws that they have to personally rectify if they decide to buy your property. And the reason they do that is simply because they want to find justifications to lower their offer price. So things like peeling paint from ceilings, cracks on the floor tiles, dents on the walls, and even signs of mold forming on the bathroom ceiling will either put them off entirely or cause them to significantly reduce their offer price. Now on the flip side, here's where it gets interesting. So keep in mind that the serious buyer is already expecting to find flaws in your property, just like all the other units that they have already viewed before. And in the event that they simply can't find any fault with your property, no matter how hard they tried, your property automatically pops up as very outstanding in their minds. And trust me, I have assisted enough buyers on their home purchase to know that this is a big deal, and it gives your property a much needed advantage during their shortlisting process. So really take the time and effort to do the audit and rectify your property's defects in the process. Trust me, it will be well worth your time. And this brings us to the next stage, the cleanup. So if you've lived in the property for an extended period of time, chances are your property will look something like this. Okay, I might be exaggerating a little bit here, but you get the idea, right? So let's face it, a cluttered home turns buyers off, and worse still, it makes your property seem smaller than what it really is. And fortunately for you, most sellers also can't be bothered with presenting their property in the best possible way. So use this to your advantage and really put in the effort to make your unit go from this to this. It makes a huge difference to the way buyers feel when they walk through your property, and as you know by now, the better they feel, the higher the chance of an offer being made. And with that being said, we've come to the third and final stage of the pre-listing prep, property packaging. Now keep in mind that this is the step that will take your property from good to amazing. and if done right, will dramatically separate your property from all the rest of your competition. So, what exactly is packaging? In simple terms, this is the method of preparing a property for sale by making it appeal to the highest number of buyers. And contrary to common belief, it isn't simply about decorating your property to make it look nice. Instead, the end goal is to allow every buyer that walks through your property to experience the feeling of already being at home. And this allows them to visualize and mentally shift into the property, and more importantly, create that instant emotional connection between the buyer and your property. Now that is what will truly make your property unforgettable. So here's the process that I use to make that happen. Number 1, use neutral colors on walls. Now I don't mean to be rude, but not everyone can accept your bold purple feature wall or green ceilings. And those might just be your proudest feature of the house, but when it comes to selling the property, colors are much more important than you might think. Research has shown that color brings out different sets of emotions from people. It can bring out happiness, it can bring out sadness, it can bring out disgust, it can bring out anger. So for example, just because you think your purple feature wall is the best decision you have made in your life doesn't necessarily mean that the buyer agrees. In fact, it might have the opposite effect whenever they view your unit, right? So rather than taking a gamble that the buyer has the same taste as you should stick to colors that are already proven to be widely accepted. In other words, neutral colors. And in this case, white, off-white and beige are good color choices for you. And the reason behind that is to provide the buyer with a distraction-free environment, and more importantly, a blank canvas to base his imagination of what his dream house would look like. Now once buyers start to do that, the chances of them making a serious offer goes up yet another notch. Now the next step is what I call depersonalization, and you see, things like your family portraits, your wedding photos, these things might hold a lot of sentimental value to you. But to the buyer, they are simply distractions and also a reminder that this simply isn't their home. So if you're serious about selling your home, the simple act of depersonalization and keeping these items away, these personal items, will allow buyers to vividly imagine themselves occupying the property with their family. And really imagining how their weekends at home with their family will feel like. And all this, as you know by now, all of this just adds to the already impeccable impression of your property in their minds. Now on to the final step, applying the finishing touches. Keep in mind that this is one of the hardest steps to achieve, and most of the time will require you to engage professional assistance. But when done properly, this will give you a huge boost to the perceived value of your property in the eyes of your potential buyers. Now remember, it is all about the buyer's experience. And the goal of this step is really to transform your property into something similar to that of a show unit in a new launch condo show flat. However, you don't necessarily need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars just to furnish your property like what the property developers do. And most people don't know this, but engaging a competent home packaging professional will only set you back by a very reasonable amount. Of course, it depends on the size of your property. The bigger your property, the higher the cost. Okay, so there's literally no excuse for you not to wow the socks off your buyers with this very small investment. In fact, every single step in the pre-listing prep is purposefully done to position your unit as the premier unit in your estate. And believe me, if you truly take the time and the effort to do this, your listing will be far superior to any other listing that tries to compete with you. So what it means for you is more serious buyers, more genuine and quality offers being made on your property, and at the end of the day, a higher selling price. Remember, how well you prepare your property for sale determines how well you can positively influence the buyer's emotions when they tour your house. And that really is the key to selling properties. Okay, now most sellers and agents out there, they keep thinking and they keep taking for granted that just because the property is in a good location or just because it is common practice to leave the house as it is, they are able to skip this essential preparation step. My advice is, don't fall into that trap. Their laziness is in fact an opportunity for you to make your property stand out even more and achieve your end goal, which is to get the best possible selling price in the shortest amount of time. Okay, so let's do a quick recap on what we have talked about so far in this video. We've basically gone through the entire pre-listing prep process and how it enables you to position your property at the top of your buyers' minds. And there are 3 main steps to do that: the property audit, the property cleanup, and lastly, the property packaging. Each of these steps play an important role in enhancing the buyer's experience when they eventually step foot into your property, which, as you know by now, is crucial to the sale of your property. However, without the ability to pre-qualify and attract buyers to actually view your property, all this preparation that you have done so far isn't going to do anything. Which is why in the next video, I will share a lot more on how you can effectively attract more buyers to set up viewing appointments with you for your property. So stay tuned, and as always, if you found this video useful, please be sure to leave me some feedback in the comments section below. That's all for now, and I'll see you in a couple of days in the next video.